In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up the best Sequnce settings inside Premiere Pro for your video footage. Let's dive in. So I'm inside Premiere Pro and I just imported my video clip. What I recommend doing first is seeing what your video clip was shot on before you make a new sequence. So to do that, right click on your footage and then go to Properties. Then you'll see some important information before you create your sequence. You can check this. So you can see the type like MPEG movie, the image size, and the frame rate as well, which we'll get to in a second in our settings. You can also see the audio, the color space, and also the video codec at the very bottom. So we'll use this information to create our new custom sequence inside Premiere Pro. So we'll close out of this box and next we'll go up to File, New Sequence to open the New Sequence dialog box. Now to the left you'll notice some available presets that you can choose from. You can even see that I created some custom presets below, which I'll show you a little bit later. But for now we're going to go over to the Settings tab and we'll start creating our custom settings. So the first option you have is editing mode. You'll want to change this to the very top option that says custom. That way this is just custom, it's not constricted to any previous setting. Next you have some time-based options. So this is your frame rate. You can change this setting to whatever your footage was shot in. So you can change it to 23.97 if you shot in film or you want that film look. You can also shoot in a higher frame rate such as 59 if you shoot gaming videos. For now, if you remember, I shot in 29.97, so I'm just going to go back to that and leave it on that for this example. Next, you have your frame size. So this is where you can change the actual resolution of your footage. So right now it's set to 1920 by 1080. And this is another option too, where say if you wanted to create a vertical video, you can change these values or invert them. So for example, you can change the first value here to 1080 and the second value to 1920. And then you essentially have a vertical image just like you're shooting on an iPhone. Now, one other option you have is to change it to a higher resolution. So you can change this to maybe 3840 by 2160, and now you have a 4K Ultra HD sequence setting. So really depending on your resolution, you can change these numbers and invert them to get a vertical or horizontal layout. For now, I'm going to leave it on 1920 by 1080 since that's how I shot my video. Next, you have the pixel aspect ratio. By default, it's set to square pixels. The only other time you might want to change this if you shot on an anamorphic. You can change it to some anamorphic settings, but for the most part, I leave this on square pixels. The next option is fields. By default, it's set to progressive scan, no fields. You'll also see upper and lower fields. This refers to interlace footage, and cameras these days don't really shoot on interlace, they shoot in progressive scan. So we'll leave it on progressive scan for now. And then for the display format, the only important note to understand here is just make sure the two numbers match each other. So where it says 29.97, just be sure that those two numbers are the same. You don't want to edit in one frame rate and then display in a different frame rate. So as long as those are the same, that should be fine. Next, you have the working color space. By default, it's set to Rec 709. Most displays in the world are set to Rec 709. Most TVs, computer displays, and web. Usually the 709, Rec 709 workspace is the standard, but if you need to change your color space, if you are planning to edit and deliver in a different one, you can change it here. But for the most part, I'll leave it on 709. Next, there is a new feature in Premiere Pro called Auto Tone Map Media. When that's selected, you'll notice that your HDR footage is converted to be displayed in a Rec 709 setting. So this is popular if you shoot like on an iPhone and you import your footage into Premiere Pro, it'll automatically, calm down the highlights and bring those back down to, your Rec 709 workspace. All right, so next we have audio. So if we remember from my audio settings, it was 48,000 Hertz. So I'm going to leave that on that. And then audio samples, I will leave that there as well. The last important part is the video preview section. What this is essentially is the preview file format for when you render out your media inside your timeline inside Premiere Pro. So you'll notice sometimes there's that red line, and if you hit return or render your in and out area on your sequence, this will be the file format that generates for when the line is green and you play back your footage. So you have a few options here. You can choose QuickTime. And if you choose QuickTime, I recommend the Apple ProRes 422 Lite setting. This is a pretty good video preview setting. It has a high quality output so you can see the accuracy of your render, and it doesn't take up too much file space inside your Finder. The other option you have is iframe only MPEG. The main difference between the two of these is QuickTime supports 4K. So say if you do QuickTime 4K, Apple ProRes 422 Lite versus iframe only MPEG doesn't support 4K previews, but QuickTime does. So I usually stick to QuickTime just to be safe. Then you have options down below. You can choose to render at maximum bit depth and the maximum render quality. I usually leave these off since they're not the final renders, but if you want more accuracy, you can check those boxes on. And then the final tab that you can check out is the tracks tab. So if you go to the tracks tab, you can determine how many default video tracks that are added to your new sequence. So if you know how many tracks you need, you can change that value there. And then you can choose to add more audio tracks. You can even select them as well. Say if you want to get rid of them, you can select them and hit the minus button. And then also you can choose the mix settings, so you can change it from stereo to 5.1 or mono, depending on how you want to display your audio. And then once you're done, where you want to go is down to save preset, to save a preset. So you can click on that button there. You can name your new preset. So I'm going to name my new preset, and then click OK. And then what you'll notice is that it will auto-populate inside your available presets menu under the custom folder. So you can see there we have our new preset, and then down below we can name our new sequence. So we'll name it draft 1. And then once you have that set, you can click OK, and then you'll see that a new sequence is created inside the timeline panel, and now you can easily click and drag over your footage and begin editing your project. So that's how you create your sequence settings inside Premiere Pro. Now, creating your sequence settings is only half the battle, and say if you finish your edit and you're looking to see how to export your video, that is a whole nother ordeal. So if you want to learn how to see the best export settings inside Premiere Pro, I did make a live stream going over a lot of the different settings that you can change. Feel free to check out that video right up there. But otherwise, I hope this video was helpful if you wanted to see how to set up your sequence settings. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.